Hey there. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about neediness, or should I say people who have a fear of being needy, or an aversion to appearing needy or feeling needy or weak, asking for help. A lot of us really struggle with this, telling others what we need from them, asking for things, expressing our needs, saying no when someone asks us for something that doesn't work for us, showing a side of ourselves that's vulnerable or has emotions of feeling dependent or wanting reassurance or love or comfort, and asking for that directly can be really hard for a lot of people. This often does go along with an avoidant attachment personality where somebody has difficulty with not showing up as independent and wants to see themselves as strong, able to cope, solution oriented, able to manage on their own, practical, and not vulnerable to getting hurt by others through rejection or being pushed away in some sense. This could also go along with social anxiety, where people have a fear of or feel self-conscious that other people might judge them or see them as too needy, see them as too weak, won't like them. Can be a shyness around asking for things, taking initiative, maybe feeling rejected or being afraid of being rejected. The problem is that when we don't express our needs, other people usually can't guess them. And a lot of times it builds up frustration or anxiety, resentment inside. And sometimes we just end up having to spend so much energy suppressing our needs and not respecting our limits and pushing ourselves past our limits and trying to show up in a certain way that we think other people want us to show up, that we end up becoming more and more ashamed or uncomfortable with our deep true self, especially our vulnerable self. And we can start to feel like an imposter or a fraud, or if only people knew who I was really deep down, then they wouldn't like me anymore. Or if I were to show just how anxious I am or fragile I am or how much I wish for certain things from other people, people wouldn't like me, or I would be a burden, or they would lose their respect for me. They would never see me the same way. This could even extend to something like taking medication for anxiety. I've had clients talk about that, where they take medication for anxiety and they're afraid that if anyone knew about that, they would completely change their opinion of the person forever, right? It would be completely irreversible. Sometimes people feel that if they have to ask for something they want, like a hug or a birthday gift from their partner, or if they have to ask people to even their own children, right, to help them with things around the house or chores or things like that. They feel a sense of like inadequacy or embarrassment, or they're not measuring up to some sort of internal standard. Sometimes this comes from having been rejected for neediness growing up. So if you had parents or a family environment or even society that gave a lot of messaging around you have to be strong and you have to push on, and you shouldn't let things, you should get over things easily, and you shouldn't let your emotions take over, and you shouldn't need too much help. You're a superstar, superwoman, superman if you can take care of yourself all the time, if you can manage on your own, if you don't need help. If you're able to just focus on achievement and not be bogged down by emotions and things like that, a lot of times those things get very reinforced, and then we develop a certain self-esteem or self-worth that hinges on not being seen as weak or not being too needy or not needing help, being able to manage things all the time, manage things on our own, be strong for other people, be the hero for other people, protect other people, take care of other people. But we completely put our own selves aside. We don't fill our own cup, and we don't ask people when we're really tapped out. We may not even be aware that we have needs at a certain point if we're so busy suppressing them. Sometimes some people are just extremely afraid of rejection. Maybe they have something called rejection sensitive dysphoria, where the person has just a very, very strong reaction to rejection or feeling criticized or told no. That could turn into real feelings of despair and emotion dysregulation. And people try to avoid that experience because it's so painful. So that could be another reason why sometimes people don't express their neediness. And sometimes it's just embarrassment, really, of just showing vulnerability, right? Some of us are just very shy and sensitive, and it just feels hard to kind of be seen in that way. There's like a sense of exposure that goes along with it, even if deep down we don't believe that there's something wrong. just having other people see us, right, with so much of a sense of exposure could be a very intense or overstimulating kind of feeling emotionally. And so a lot of times we just end up avoiding situations where we have to speak up for ourselves, avoid thinking about what we need from others or trying to get those needs met, or we may do certain things to try to feel more comfortable, like safety behaviors when we do express neediness, like, oh, like trying to make it up to the person 1,000 times, or making sure we don't owe them by overcompensating and trying to give back to them 100 times, 10 times more than what they gave to us, or doing things that make us seem in their mind like we're strong again or something like that. We may do things like that to make ourselves feel less vulnerable after we express our needs. Sometimes people end up just being very indirect. They're afraid to say directly what they want or what they need, and so they try hinting, right? We all would love to hint to what we need and hope that other people get the hint, and we don't have to actually like take the risk, the emotional risk of rejection by putting ourselves out there directly. And we feel like the person gets us without, they can read our mind. We don't have to actually say what we want. And so sometimes people end up being indirect or passive and just kind of hoping that other people take care of them, and people don't because they don't get it or they don't see the person's need, and then we end up just feeling kind of like a victim, or like nobody takes care of us or helps us, right? And sometimes people who feel weak deep down or embarrassed of neediness end up overcompensating in how they present their image to the world by looking almost like standoffish or like too self-sufficient, and other people just can't read us non-verbally that we're actually feeling awkward or sad or vulnerable or needing some kind of help, because we always look like we have it together, we're composed, we're managing on our own. And this can make it really hard to actually get people to see or understand that we actually need things like reassurance, soothing, someone to talk to, someone to ask how we're doing and really want to hear, someone to maybe offer help or take care of us or tell us that we're not alone, or listen when we've had a hard day, help us give ourselves permission to take a break or not do things perfectly. Other people see us as so self-sufficient and so together that they don't realize that we have human needs like everyone else, to hear those things from others and be able to know that it's okay and that we're safe to be ourselves in relationships. Even if the trade-off is we don't get to feel as good about ourselves, or we don't get to fit some sort of image or expectation that society has put on us of being a certain kind of super achiever, super person that doesn't ever show that they have regular human needs, or they need other people to help them with anything. And we get lost in this sort of persona, and it ends up alienating us from the part of ourselves that actually connects to other people and makes people feel close to us and intimate. And it's really a gift to others when we allow them to help us. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, first of all, we make it safe for other people to be vulnerable with us and to ask us to meet their needs without them feeling like they owe us all the time, or they're the one who's the needy one, and they're at the mercy of this person who's all together all the time. Sometimes this plays out with couples where one member of the couple feels much more needy than the other person. And really sometimes it's just based on a facade, right? That you have like one partner is just has a very hard time showing how much love they feel or how much vulnerability they feel. And so it feels almost like they care less, or they're less invested, or they have more power in the relationship, when really they're just not comfortable showing, right, outwardly their more vulnerable side or soft side, or that feeling that they have that they also need things. So we really give people a present when we show ourselves as human, and we make it safe for them to take care of us the same way we take care of them and to do for us. And we're able to receive graciously from other people and to also ask, because people can't really read our minds. They don't know what we need unless we tell them. And so being able to be direct in that way really is very helpful to relationships. And if it's hard for you to do this, you can work on it. You can learn ways to practice slowly at first through exposure therapy or talking to someone about it. You can learn to teach yourself how to start asking for your needs to be met, changing any beliefs you have that need to be reframed, right? Maybe false beliefs about asking for needs to be met, like people won't like me if I ask for something, people won't respect me if I ask for something. People will change their opinion of me if I ask for something. People will feel burdened if I ask for help. People will feel uncomfortable if I show vulnerability, right? All these beliefs we have that may not be accurate, we can kind of test them out and reframe some of those thoughts and beliefs. And we can also teach ourselves to just get more comfortable, right? Picking up the phone, asking for something. You could start small with calling a random store and asking for directions, or asking for an extra spoon at the coffee shop, right? You could start with really small things. It could be just, um, even if vulnerability or affection is hard for you, maybe just saying "I love you" to your young child, or writing it, or saying it in the mirror. There's ways that we could slowly work on getting more comfortable being vulnerable, being affectionate, showing neediness, showing a softer side of ourselves. And this will make people feel closer to us, feel more connected, and able to read us better. And it makes them feel less alone when they're feeling their own sense of neediness. It's especially important for our children to see a good, healthy role model of somebody who is able to act human, show when they can't do too much, not act like a perfectionist super achiever that always has it together and is never real or human or struggling themselves. Because then our kids don't really learn what that looks like, right? How to sort of balance being able to be capable and cope with things, but also struggling as a real person and having needs sometimes, and sometimes having limits or making mistakes or not being able to do everything just right. It's really important for people to see modeling of how to cope with that in a healthy way. So it's really a gift to our relationships and ourselves and our children when we learn how to be a little bit more comfortable with a sense of need, asking for things, expressing ourselves directly, not beating around the bush, and showing non-verbally that we're feeling maybe a little bit more sad or embarrassed or awkward or threatened or distressed in some way, and that maybe we could use a little TLC. So I hope some of you who are struggling with that will practice. And I hope those of you who are maybe partners with someone who has trouble with neediness, or have children like that, will maybe start to make it a little bit more safe for them to show that part of themselves. So there's a little bit more of a full human picture in the situation, and everyone can be real, um, in both ways, that they're adequate and self-sufficient and competent, and also in being able to lean on others and ask for needs to be met and go after what they want in relationships. So I hope that was helpful, and let me know if you have any comments.